Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we do here is fire. You guys know the drill. So let's get right to the YouTube show I have for you guys today. So we're gonna be going over some sports stories, man. We have a lot to get to, and we'll just go over some marquee matchups that happened on Monday after my podcast was taken and was put on air. We had LSU take on Iowa. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, the rematch of the national championship from last year for the women's. And Caitlin Clark gets the best, dropping 41 points as she advances to the Final Four. And then you have UConn and Paige Beckers get the win over Juju Watkins. What a game that was. Paige Beckers dropped 29 and gets the win as they advance to the Final Four. So you have both NC State women's and men's advancing to the Final Four. And you have both UConn women's and men's advancing to the Final Four, which is pretty crazy. But let's get right to these sports stories. So today's podcast is just going to be going over some sports stories and my reactions towards those sports stories. Similar to what the audio show for the Apple Podcast and Spotify will be as well. Just a lot of information and a lot of good stories that have happened in the last couple days or so. So let's get right to it. Basically, this happened last night. After the Lakers 128-111 win over the Toronto Raptors, Lakers star LeBron James said Tuesday his son Bronny has some tough decisions to make after the USC coach Andy Enfide's decision to become the coach at SMU. So he left. Now, Bronny James just concluded his freshman year with the Trojans, and his future became the subject of speculation and amid a report that Bronny is entering the transfer portal. So we don't know from Bronny himself or LeBron James or his family, but according to a source, he has entered the transfer portal. He even said, LeBron said, I don't know where it came from, LeBron James said after the Lakers beat the Raptors. But at the end of the day, Bronny is his own man. He has some tough decisions to make. When he's ready to make those decisions, he'll let us know. But as his family, we're going to support whatever he does. Now, Bronny James appeared in 25 games for the Trojans under Enfide in the 2023-2024 season, only averaging 5 points a game, 2 assists. James ranked at number 28 overall player in the class of 2023, according to 247 Sports. He showed glimpses of promises while mostly kind of coming off the bench. Really wasn't starting that much, and really wasn't doing some key things with the team. So you really can't judge anything off him. So that might be a reason why he might be entering the transfer portal. So we'll see what happens. I think Bronny entering the transfer portal. If it is true, I kind of understand it, but at the same time, I think he can. I don't think he's going to be able to flourish in USC because there is a number one player that is playing there that got hurt, and that's kind of one of the reasons why he doesn't really play that much. So we'll see what happens. Now the Phillies. We're gonna go into some baseball talk. Now the slugger slash warrior poet Bryce Harper, starting off the season, was hitless up until last night. This man hit 3 home runs and demolished them all. And the Phillies prevailed with a 9-4 win to improve to 2-3 on the season to drop the Cincinnati Reds to 3-2. Harper's first blast of the evening came in the first inning off Sydney starter Graham Ashcraft. It left the bat at 107.7 miles an hour and went 420 feet to center. Then in the fourth, the walloped a first pitch slider from Ashcraft to seats in right. That second home run also associated the 1,000th run scored of Harper's career. Then came the seventh inning when Harper, at the expense of Brent Sutter, sinker smote the 7th grand slam of his career. So this man had 3 home runs, and I believe he had like 5 RBIs. That is absurd. Absurd. So that is to show you this man can get it going anytime he wants. Now, after 2 years in Carolina, Lashkrish Chenault Jr. is getting a fresh start with the new team. The veteran wide receiver and former second round pick is signing with the Seahawks, according to his agent via CBS Sports-led NFL insider Jonathan Jones. Chenault is 25 and is coming to Seattle following a disappointing 2-year run in Carolina. He put up solid numbers as a rookie, catching 5 touchdowns and amassing 600 yards with the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, Chenault had just 1 more touchdown during the next 3 years. Things bottomed out last year. Sheldon played just 8 games and not getting a single start. 10 targets, 10 receptions, 60 yards this season. That is, I mean, he's 10 for 10, 60 yards, but no touchdowns. So, we'll see how well he does in Seattle. Now, if you guys didn't remember, one of the great highlights of the NBA All-Star this year was really the 3-point contest in the NBA, and then the Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu NBA versus WNBA 3-point contest. Those were the two highlights of the year. The dunk contest was the All-Star game was terrible. The skills challenge was terrible. So now Steph Curry did win against Ionescu, but it was close. Steph had 29, Ionescu had 26. I don't know if anybody can fill these shoes, but it might have to be something that we do more often, Curry said after winning the annual event in February. While nothing is official yet, Shams Charania reported Curry versus Ionescu Part 2 is very likely to happen during the NBA All-Star Weekend in February of 2025. Not only that, but it could be expanded to a feature of 2 versus 2 battle that would include Iowa star Caitlin Clark as well as Klay Thompson joining the shootout. Sharani also mentioned that Damian Lillard could be a candidate for that spot as well. I forgot about Clay. That would be something too. Three of the best shooters in the game. Three of the best 3-point contest shooters in the game, along with Sabrina and Caitlin. That will be something. We'll see if that actually pans out next year in 2025 in February. Now, the 76ers, Joel Embiid is back, ladies and gentlemen. He is finally back after that whole long injury run. He made his return last night against OKC, where he looked good. He looked promising. He took down OKC. They did not spoil. I thought they were going to spoil his run. His opening. His finally after January 30th, he has been sidelined too. He's finally back. Thought they were going to spoil it. They had it. But the 76ers proved that with Joel Embiid, they're a really good team. I mean, you got Joel, you got Buddy Hield, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey. They didn't even have Tyrese Maxey last night, and they won. So just to show you, if they had him, things would have been different. So Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, and Buddy Hield. That's a great 4 right there. Not to mention their depth, their bench. We'll see what happens in the future in the playoffs with Joel Embiid and the 76ers. Now, star running back Derrick Henry chose to part ways with the Tennessee Titans, as we know, and he ultimately signed with the Baltimore Ravens in free agency last month. The 4-time Pro Bowler will have a chance to chase a Super Bowl ring with the Ravens, but admits that one other sacrifice scenario may have been a tremendous fit. In an appearance on the Pivot podcast with former NFL stars Ryan Clark, Shannon Crowder, and Fred Taylor, Henry acknowledged that signing with the Dallas Cowboys would have been a perfect situation since he literally lives there in the offseason in Texas. I knew that when free agency started, I wanted to work something out with the Ravens if we could. Henry said, even though I'm living in Dallas, Dallas being a perfect situation as well because he lived there and wouldn't have to move. But they never called him. They never called him. And that still irks me to this day that we never even gave him a shot. We never even asked him, hey, to come down and visit. Nothing. He was literally in Dallas, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from the stadium. And you literally did not even call him. Not an email, not a call, not a text, nothing. They didn't want nothing to do with him. And now watch. Ravens win a Super Bowl. Derrick Henry will be the reason for it. Mark my words. Now, if you guys did not hear, Rajon Rondo is calling it quits. Is one of the best. He was been one of the best point guards of his generation. He's never put up some crazy numbers, scoring numbers, but was regularly flirting with double-digit assist numbers on a nightly basis. And he really was crazy with his IQ. And that's what makes a great basketball player. Your IQ of the game of basketball makes you a great basketball player. And even as he got into the later years of his career, we still, as an essential player on some important teams. He hasn't played in the NBA since 2021-2022 season, and while he maybe has some left in the tank, to come off the bench, the 16-year NBA veteran officially announced his retirement recently. During an appearance on the All Smoke podcast, Matt Barnes asked if we've seen the last of him in the NBA. Rondo was quick in his response. Absolutely, Rondo said, yeah, I'm done. I can't. I'd rather spend time with my kids. Well, family man, that's what happens. He had a good run and enjoy retirement. Rondo. Now, we move to college women's basketball back there. Caitlin Clark and can claim another record. Wait, what? Another record? This woman has like every freaking record in NCAA and Division One history, men's or women's. What other record is there? Now, let's see. Iowa's 94 to 87 victory over LSU in the Elite Eight of the Women's NCAA Tournament Monday night averaged 12.3 million viewers on ESPN. That is ridiculous. Now, according to Nielsen, that makes it one of the most viewed games in any sport other than NFL football over the past year. Iowa LSU outdrew all but one of the 5 games in last year's NBA Finals, along with clinching game of last year's World Series 11.48 million. That's crazy. Clark scored 41 points as the Hawkeyes avenged last year's loss to the Tigers in the national championship game. So Clayton Clark can claim another record in the most watched women's college basketball game in history. She did it again. She made another record for the most watched game in college basketball history. It was her versus Angel Reese. Remarkable. Just remarkable. Okay, so we have some more news coming out of Dallas, but it's not the Cowboys. Thank God it's not the Cowboys. You know why? Because either it's somebody dealing with some bullshit with a drug policy or some sexual assault battery crap, or it's the Cowboys not making any moves in free agency and Jerry Jones and the Cowboys thinking all in is just sitting back and doing nothing. But we're going with Kansas City. Wait, Dallas, Kansas City? How does that even mesh? It doesn't. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashid Rice was leasing a Lamborghini sport utility vehicle that authorities says was one of the 2 speeding sports cars that caused the chain reaction crash on Dallas Highway. If you guys did not hear, I think yesterday or the day before, I talked about when Rashid Rice got into an accident in Dallas. This is the story upon the story. So now we have more to it. An attorney from the company that owns the vehicle said Tuesday, Dallas police have not confirmed whether Rice was involved in Saturday's crash, which caused minor injuries. The occupants of the Lamborghini and the other speeding vehicle, a Corvette, left without determining if anyone needed medical attention or providing their information. Police said a total of 6 vehicles were involved in the crash. An attorney for Rice said this week that the NFL player was cooperating with authorities but has not elaborated on the situation. So there's still more to come to this story. We will see if Rice is penalized. They are actually looking into J.K. Dobbins. The Chiefs are actually have a visit with J.K. Dobbins, I believe, because of the mirroring fact of if Rice does go to jail or has to miss significant time due to a suspension from the NFL, then they would probably try to pick up J.K. Dobbins. They have Pacheco. I think they have Allaire, but they want somebody else. So I believe might be going with J.K. Dobbins if everything goes well. So we'll see. It's crazy to think that J.K. Dobbins is still trying to play in the NFL after what happened a lot of years back with his girlfriend or his wife in the elevator. So he's a Raven, longtime Raven. Oh wait, no, not J.K. That was Rice. My bad. So J.K. Dobbins is still in the NFL. I'm thinking of what's his name? Ray Rice. That's what I'm thinking of. J.K. Dobbins is the one that's from Ohio State that just keeps getting injured every freaking time. See, this is what happens when you have similar numbers, similar build, and similar stature. Just not the same person. Just one is injury prone and one likes to beat up people. There's a big difference. So that's my bad. My bad, guys. My bad. But at the same case, J.K. Dobbins is a pretty good fit for Kansas City, but if he stays healthy. Just the barring factor right there. That's the literal bar right there. If he stays healthy, he's good. If he doesn't stay healthy, he's ass. Because he can't stay on the field. So you can't rely on him. Let's say when Pacheco is not doing his thing, you can't go, hey, J.K. Dobbins. Well, you'll look to J.K. Dobbins, but he'll be sitting on the sideline with street clothes on because he's hurt. It's the problem. So we'll see what happens with Rice and Kansas City and whether he gets suspended or has any potential jail time. Now, Stockton Kings' Lindsey Harding became the first woman to be named Coach of the Year in the NBA G League on Tuesday. Harding earned the honor after guiding the Kings to a league best 24-10 regular season record. They earned the top seed in the Western Conference and a first-round bye in the playoffs, which begin this week. Harding will receive the Dennis Johnson Trophy, named after the late Hall of Famer, who was a star guard in the NBA and a G League coach. The vote was conducted by fellow coaches and general managers in the G League. Harding played college basketball at Duke, where she had her number 10 jersey retired. She was number 1 overall pick in the 2007 WNBA draft. So this is congrats to Lindsey Harding on a great season with the G League on Tuesday. Coach of the Year. This is great to have a women's coach winning a Coach of the Year in the G League. So congrats there. We move on to some big freaking news, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if you guys got to wait till 15 minutes on the clock here, don't worry. We'll have a clip coming of this. Stephon Diggs' era in Buffalo has come to an end. Who would have figured? The Bills are finalizing a blockbuster trade to send the 4-time Pro Bowl wide receiver to the Houston Texans. CBS Sports-led NFL insider Jonathan Jones has confirmed in exchange for Diggs, Buffalo will receive a 2025 second-round pick via Minnesota, while they will also send a 2024 sixth-round pick and a 2025 fifth-round pick to the Houston along with Diggs. Houston is looking pretty scary, man. Stephon Diggs, Hank Dell, Jesus, C.J. Stroud. I mean, the list goes on and on. Now, this trade marks the end of what has grown into somewhat of a toxic relationship between Diggs and the Bills organization. I kind of thought that this was going to happen. I think he's kind of dumb because I think the Bills have a good shot of winning stuff. But at the same time, I think he's pretty sick. He going to Houston, that's going to be a trio right there with Tank Dell, C.J. Stroud, and Stephon Diggs. That's going to be something. Can't wait to see that in action next year. Now, last month, Diggs had a cryptic social media post where the wideout said he was ready for whatever, which could mean anything. Well, obviously, that meant he wanted out. That was just the latest in what appeared to be indicators that he wanted out from Buffalo, including being absent from the start of mandatory minicamp last year. On the field, Diggs also seemed to get out of the rhythm with quarterback Josh Allen as the 2020 season went along after recording 100-yard receiving games in 5. So, only 5 games last year, he only recorded 100 yards. They ain't going to cut it. So, obviously, Buffalo's not where he wants to be and not where he is going to be for the foreseeable future. Is now in Houston. So, it's closer to his brother. His brother's in Dallas, Texas. It would have been nice to see him come to the Cowboys, but had a feeling that wasn't going to happen because Jerry Jones won't do that. He's too stubborn. Now, last start, first at the end, LeVar Ball won. Let's just get it out there, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are not, I'm not a LeVar Ball fan. I don't really like the guy, but he got it done. He succeeded as a father. Now, whatever else is true, whatever injuries have done to his sons, and whatever injuries may do to them in the months and years ahead, the brash, confident, bold patriarch who seems to take all of the oxygen out of every basketball room he entered more than 5 years ago was correct on his kids. They were and still may be the real deal. I think they are both the real deal. Lonzo's just dealing with a bad injury that he's coming back from. And LaMelo just can't really stay consistently healthy, but when he's on, he's great. And they get paid for it. And at the alone means their dad, whatever you felt about him or his message, did exactly what a dad is supposed to do. He succeeded in setting his sons up for massive success. That's all you can ask for for a dad. That's all you can ask for as a son, to have your dad help you succeed and put you in the right spots to become the best man that you can be and the best person you can be and the best to be in the most successful position you can be in life. Now, moving from that, we go to back to the NBA, where we go to Steve Clifford is stepping down as the Charlotte Hornets coach at the end of the season and is working to finalize in the front office role with the franchise. The sources told ESPN Clifford, who informed his assistants and players of news Wednesday morning, will coach the Hornets' final 7 games beginning Wednesday night against the Portland Trailblazers, sources said. Charlotte's new executive vice president of basketball operations, Jeff Peterson, and co-owners Rick Schmal and Gabe Pluckton were open to bringing him back as coach next season, but Clifford, 62, decided he wasn't prepared to commit to the year-round grind of head coaching for the 2024-2025 season. So he is out. We will see what the Hornets do in the next head coaching position. But other than that, guys, that is pretty much it. We did all the sports stories. Went out over the college women's basketball. This weekend marks the Final Four. Friday is the women's, where we have South Carolina. I believe it's South Carolina versus NC State. And then you have UConn versus Iowa. And then you move on from there and you have the men's, where you have NC State versus Purdue. You have Alabama versus UConn. So we will see what happens with those games and whether or not any of these teams could upset one or the other. But in the women's, like I said earlier, we have South Carolina versus NC State, South Carolina. UConn versus Iowa, Iowa. In the men's, I got NC State winning against Purdue and advancing to the national championship. And on top of that, you have UConn versus Alabama. It would be nice to see if Alabama would win that game, but I'm taking UConn to win that game and advance to the national championship, where we would have UConn versus NC State winning it all, Iowa versus South Carolina, Iowa winning it all. Those are my picks. I will see you guys on Friday. We'll have the matchups beforehand. We'll go over them yet again in more depth on Friday for our podcast. And then on Monday, on Recap Monday, we will let you guys know what happened between the men's and women's national championship. Well, that's probably another day, but we will talk to you about what happened in the Final Four for both the men's and women's March Madness brackets. Also, we might be going live on Saturday for the men's on TikTok Live to go over what's happening. Also, maybe on Friday, but we'll see. But other than that, guys, have a great rest of your Wednesday afternoon, and I will catch you guys on Friday. Peace out, guys, here on the Fire Sports Pod. I'm your host, Zach Jackson, and you guys have a blessing day. Peace out.